You're watching this because you're most likely interested in fixing your body and Iman. And you're considering if I am the right person to help you. And that will be very clear, inshallah ta'ala, by the end of this video. But before we go through all of that, I want to be very clear who this is for and who it's not for. So you're not sitting there wasting your time on this video if it's not for you. And if it is for you, then you know this is going to be worth it. So who is this for? Well, this is for busy, overweight, low Iman Muslims, just to put it very clear. And if we go deeper, you work. You work a lot. You have responsibilities. You're tired most days. Your routines are probably very inconsistent, if there are any. And your body is not where you want it to be. And I mean, your deen is there, obviously, right? But again, it's not consistent. It's not where you want it to be. You doom scroll more than you want to. You feel guilty about your salah, about your worship. You tried to get disciplined before. The problem was it didn't stick. If that is you, this is definitely a video for you. That's why I made this video in the first place. Now, to be very clear if you should turn this video off or not, this is not for people who love strict routines. You know, people who want a strict diet plan or meal plan, recipes, all of that, you know, all the workout programs and whatnot. Or people who think motivation is going to fix everything. Or people who are not ready to take responsibility for, you know, their setup, for their habits or routines. And people who needs hand-holding all the way. I mean, look, I want to be very honest with you. If you're looking for a diet, if you're looking for a gym workout plan, or some hyped up challenge that's going to motivate you, this is not the right thing for you. And I want to say this up front, by the way. What I do does not require dieting, calorie tracking, workouts, or overwhelming your schedule. Basically, it takes no time at all. Because most Muslim brothers and sisters I work with, they don't have time for that anyways. And to kind of give you an understanding how and why it works, I'm going to show you two Muslims here, a Muslim brother and a sister, to keep it fair and square, who were struggling before we even talked, before even we worked together. So they were struggling just like you, like all the things I mentioned right before this, right? So you got Afan from the US and Aisha from the UK. And I'm not going to show these two Muslims to convince you or to sell you on my method. It's only so that you can answer one question honestly. Do I see myself in this? Can I see this working for me or not? That's the only question you need to answer. That's the question I want to answer for you in this video. And if you cannot see yourself in these two examples here, then this is not for you. This is your final stop. This is where you should, you know, turn off the video and not even considering working with me. Okay, I just want to put it out there. Okay, so just to give you a context side by side, we're gonna go into details here. But so we got Afan here on the left, and he's a busy working professional in the US. Currently a mashallah general manager, crazy schedule, long days. He has family responsibilities, takes care of his mother, and his daily life used to, big emphasis, used to drain him. It made his belly bigger, it made his stress go up, energy go down, and Iman went down with it. On the right here, you see Sister Aisha. Aisha is a very busy sister. So she is in the UK, she lives in the UK, she works, a lot of stress, and it was constant pressure, you know, from everywhere. And she felt that dieting and deen always came with some kind of pressure and guilt. I mean, looking at these two Muslims, different lives, right? Totally different places, but same reality. Busy, tired, overwhelmed, and overweight. And I'm going to show you the, I call it the 2x2. I'm going to go into explain that a little bit. But this is where we build this transformation on, these four things. As Muslims, life basically comes down into these four things. 2 spiritual and 2 physical, right? So we got Iman and we got stress. We got energy and body fat, right? So if you fix these 4, you will basically fix your life. All the problems you have right now is because these 4 are not in the right place. They're not where it's supposed to be. I'm gonna more on that later. Right now, I just want to see or show you how Affan and Aisha completely transformed their lives. So Affan, he lost his belly and started praying Fajr on time in 6 weeks. And this was without any dieting, without any workouts. And he was still eating his traditional foods, his traditional Indian foods, mashallah, and he was working full time. He was working overtime, I would say. And what we did was, looking at these four, remember, I talked about these four. We talked about the Iman, the stress, being the spiritual side, and the energy and body weight being the physical side. So everything up here, these two, the Iman and energy obviously need to go up, and the stress and body weight need to go down. Now, if someone is overwhelmed and busy, just like you, it doesn't make sense to try to fix everything at once. That would just make things worse. So what we did was, we were starting with one thing, and we saw that energy was the big problem here. And not workouts, not like, this doesn't help. Like slapping a workout plan or diet plan just on this, it doesn't help, right? So what we did was we added small food habits and sleep habits just to bring the energy up. Because when the energy went up, we saw that other things were moving in the right direction with it, right? So as energy was stabilizing, we saw that the stress naturally came down, right? Because more sleep, more recovery, brings all, the cortisol, the stress hormone down. And this is a big factor, by the way. If you have a big belly, this is a big factor or big reason. The energy is low, the stress is high, right? And with more energy, obviously, Iman went up, because now with more energy, with less stress, Fajr stopped feeling heavy for him. And his consistency with Fajr was not perfect, obviously, in the beginning, but it came naturally. It's improved naturally, right? And when stress went down and the energy became more stabilized, his body weight followed. That's why we don't need dieting here. That's why you see he lost 10% of his body weight in this short period of time, 6 weeks. On the other hand, if we look at Aisha, again, different story, but very, very similar transformation, I would say. For Aisha, we started by identifying that the stress was the main reason here, why everything was broken for her. So we started by lowering the stress, not pushing harder. Like more effort wouldn't solve this problem. So we decided to attach habits that would bring the stress down. For example, we got the daily Quran here. We have daily istighfar. It's an amazing thing, to bring the stress down. And we did some walking. So you can see both Iman-wise and physically-wise, like body-wise, we use these both to bring the stress down, right? Even if stress is on the spiritual side. And as the stress went down, she were able to, again, attach that small Quran habit to moments she already had throughout her day. And this would bring her Iman up, obviously, right? And with stress going down, her energy started to come back up. The stress is a silent killer for a lot of people when it comes to energy, body fat, and all that. So the energy went up, obviously. And with energy going up and stress going down, like you saw with Affan, the weight went down, the body fat went down. And she lost, in her first month, this is crazy, in her first month, she lost 7 kilos. And within two months, I showed here, 12 kilos. And she became consistent with Salah and Quran, and her stress went down. Again, like I told you, this is the first thing we focus on. And she stopped being a perfectionist. She stopped thinking about all or nothing. This is the crazy transformation. And again, no kind of diet plan or workout plan. She basically had walking. We had something called a fuel plan, which is basically the opposite of a diet plan, basically just fueling the body, hydrating it and all that. So as you can see, real transformation came down into these 4 things. So I want to go through what we did and how it works so that you can also see how it works for you in your life, right? So these 4 things, we already talked about it, right? This is what I call the 2x2 transformation matrix, right? There are 4 things that we need to fix. 2 spiritual and 2 physical. And the top ones need to come up and the bottom ones need to come down, right? So Iman needs to go up, stress needs to come down. Energy needs to go up, body fat needs to come down, right? And again, I want to emphasize that this is not something that just popped out of nowhere. This is actually rooted very deeply in the Quran and the Sunnah. Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. That Allah won't change the condition of a people until they change what's within themselves. And this is why we have these 2x2 transformation matrix. If they move in the right direction together, right, everything becomes easier. He already promised you, He will help this change. But you need to start the change. You need to take the first step. And all the routines that initially were very difficult to be consistent with, long-term just become sustainable and consistent, like without any real effort, because you're not working uphills. So everything is working with you. But the problem here is knowing what to improve is not enough, right? You need a mechanism. You need something that keeps habits stable and consistent in real life. And the proof for that is obviously, for example, Allah. How many places does Allah in the Quran tell us to pray? And how many of us actually prays 5 times a day consistently on time, right? We know, but we're not doing it. And these 2x2 just shows us what to focus on, right? So you don't, waste time on following these diets and workout plans that at the end of the day does not even help you, right? And that is why you see a lot of people trying to do these things. They're not transforming. They're not changing, because Allah said, if you want change, start the change from within yourself. You got to start that change and take the first step. And if we want to make this consistent, this is where the 3 consistency pillars comes in. And just to kind of connect this to the Sunnah, these are one of my favorite hadith. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Ahabbu al-a'mali illa Allah, adwamuha wa in qal." That the most beloved deeds to Allah are those that are consistent, even if they're few. So if that's the rule, if that is the Sunnah, like the divine revelation of how to be consistent, it's just to make sure that the action is not overwhelming you, and that in that way it becomes consistent. Okay, awesome. How can we put this in practice? And I found these 3 pillars. You need structure, basically knowing what to do, right? So we know what to focus on with the 2x2, but what should we do in these 4 with the Iman, with the energy, with the body fat, with the stress? That's where the structure comes in. So we place one small habit at one fixed moment in your day. That does not take a lot of time. I always talk about the 5-minute rule. So anything we do should not take more than 5 minutes out of your day, because we're busy, right? Is that enough? Obviously not. That's why we have 3 pillars. We have flexibility. And this is where, when life gets messy, the habit, instead of stop doing the habit, all or nothing, we scale the habit. We create different levels of the habit where you can, you have a habit. Let me give you an example from the Sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ said about the Salah, the prayer, that if you come to pray, you should stand up to pray, right? But if you can't, you can sit down. For example, when you're sick. And if you cannot even do that, you can lie down on your side. So this shows us that in order for us to be consistent with something, Salah is probably the most consistent thing in our whole lives, 5 times a day for the rest of our lives, we need to make sure it's flexible. We need to make sure that we can perform this habit, make it work, no matter what, if we have a bad day or a good day in front of us. And then lastly, the 3rd pillar is accountability. So you want to have some kind of correction from, in the beginning, you're obviously very motivated to change, but eventually real life's gonna catch up and you're gonna, either consciously or subconsciously create excuses for yourself. Oh, I can take a day off or whatever, right? That's why we need accountability, someone to keep us on track. So before the routine collapse, there's someone there to help us to catch us before we drift, right? So these 3 pillars are what turns habits from short-term effort into long-term consistency. And just to give you like an idea how this looks like in real life. So when I work with, for example, Aisha or Afan, I showed you other brothers and sisters, we create this in the app we're using. So we create daily tasks and habits, the structure, knowing what to do. Okay, we got daily Quran, we got a, workout, maybe Fajr on time, adhkar, zikr in the morning. Okay, cool. So let's say we take the Quran, for example. We got the structure in front of us. What about flexibility? Well, that's where the ABC method comes in. Based on the hadith I talked about with the Salah, that plan A, the main plan here is read 1 page of Quran every day. But if you can't, if you're busy, if you don't have time, whatever happens, You don't go to zero. You have a backup plan here. You have a plan B. And that's where you have half a page. So instead of the full page, half a page, right? 50% less time, 50% less effort. Let's say even that would be too much for you that day. You can't keep up with it. That day, specific day. Then you have a minimum non-negotiable, a plan C, which is 1 ayah. And the thing is here, the ABC is something you can apply in your diet, in your hydration, sleep, Quran, Salah, you name it, right? You can place it in any habit. The idea here is to have a plan A that is not too difficult to perform. You can be consistent with it every day. And a plan B that is like, make sure you complete it, but it's not 100%, and that's fine. And then you have a non-negotiable, a minimum. And it should be so easy, you almost laugh at it, right? So here we have 1 ayah. One verse of the Quran, like who's too busy to read even 1 ayah, right? The idea here is not to be perfect or to, performance. It's about consistency. And then we have the accountability. So an example, I'm going to go into this later, but an example is I follow up every day with both brothers and sisters, in the app. How did it go today? Checking in on them so that they feel that they are supported and guided every single day. So this is what I call the daily support check-in. So the question here is, okay, we know what to focus on and how to make it consistent, how to make it work. So how do we put it into a program that could change your life? That is where we have something I call the internal system and external system. Again, this is based on Quran and Sunnah. We can see it everywhere. For example, Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ خَيْرُ الْبَرِيَّةِ. That indeed, those who believe and those who perform or make righteous action, they are the best of creation. So Allah gave us two things here. Those who believe, the internal system, and those who perform righteous action, external system. So there are two systems here, internal, external, that need to work together to make sure that this 2 by 2 we talked about, the transformation matrix, and the 3 pillars of consistency can work together in this program. So if we start with the internal system, the purpose here is to install those habits we talked about and mindset through small and repeatable daily actions. So for example, we have every month we set a focus area. So we got these 4 by 2. We got the Iman, we got the stress, we got the energy, we got the body fat. Obviously we're going to work on all of them, but we need to focus on one of them. Every month we decide that this month we're going to focus on let's say Iman. It's very similar. Like in Ramadan you might say, okay, this month I'm going to focus on Quran or whatever, right? So you need to have a focus area and you cannot focus on everything at once. But it might feel that you're going slower, but you're actually going faster. And then we have the 5 habit method. I mentioned it briefly, but this is basically making sure you can perform this habit in just 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. And I'm not talking about just that habit, I'm talking about the whole system. And so if you want to fix your Iman, your stress, body fat, energy, all of that, it needs to take maximum 5 minutes. And if we go up here just for a bit here with Aisha, I showed you her routine here already that helped her to lose 12 kilos in 2 months and become consistent with Salah and Quran. This daily structure she had took 5 minutes, maximum 10 minutes. And to make sure, before we move on to another habit or whatever, we have something called consistency proofing. Basically, stabilizing the habit before adding new ones. This is a problem I see with many people. It's like, okay, you start a diet, and then you start a workout, and then you start walking, and then you start running. And like you're adding habits, and it's like so much, and it's overwhelming you because you're overwhelming yourself, right? You cannot make it consistent because there are too many new things going on, right? So the internal system ensures that the habits we are building are being built gradually without overwhelming. And we're focusing on the important thing that's going to move your body and Iman in the right direction, right? That's why you see Affan and Aisha, they had these amazing results just by spending 5 minutes a day on this. Because we focus, it's better to focus 5 minutes on the right things than hours on the wrong things. Now, the external system, on the other hand, the purpose here is to reinforce consistency. So we're focusing on the accountability and support, basically. And there are many components here. The main ones are the daily support check-ins I showed you. So me checking in with the brothers and sisters in the program every single day, making sure they're on track, or making sure they're guided, they have the support they need, right? And I think this is an issue. Many Muslims out there, they take this for granted. Like for example, you living in the West, have you ever been in a Muslim country where you hear the adhan? Like, it's almost impossible to miss a prayer. But once you're back in the West where there's no adhan at all, it's very easy to forget. It's easy to forget the prayer and suddenly it's too late, right? So this is why we, as human beings, we need accountability and support on a daily basis. And then we also implement a weekly tracker for the 2x2. We look at, like I said, the Iman, the stress, the energy, the body fat, and we see where are they? We grading them 1 to 10, you know, and then we can see very early on, oh, hold on, the energy is going a little bit too low here, what's happening? And then we can catch that early on before your belly grows and your Iman drops. And not only that, every month we have something I call a strategy call. And it's very simple. We follow the principle of takhliya and tahliya. So this is an Islamic principle of purifying yourself. So takhliya is basically removing one negative habit, one bad habit that brings Iman down or brings body fat up, right? And then we have tahliya, which is like kind of beautifying something. So here, like strengthening, improving one positive habit. So you can see that the internal system is what installs the habits. The external system protects them. And the transformation you want in your body and your Iman, it stops depending on motivation. And it basically starts happening automatically over time. So these are the 3 things that I use with every client in the program. You know, the 2x2, the 3 pillars, and the internal and external system. And that is what transforms hundreds of brothers and sisters today. You see, brother Affan, he lost his belly fat and started praying Fajr on time in just 6 weeks. And Aisha lost 12 kilos in just 2 months and became consistent with Salah and Quran. Now, I want to be very clear here, again, if you don't see yourself in Affan or in Aisha or in the examples I showed you, if their problems don't feel familiar, if the solution we talked about today does not make sense to you, this will not work for you. It might not be the right time, you might not be the right person for this. And that's fine. And in that case, just, skip this video, watch something else. Something that's more beneficial, because this only works for Muslims who recognize this same pattern, the issues, and are ready to fix it and can see the solution helping them with that. And now to the very important part, and the reason why I made the video, is that if you see yourself in this, if these problems feel familiar, if you feel like your body is not where it should be, your Iman is not where it should be, your energy is like rock bottom, then this approach might be the right fit for you. And if you don't, again, it's not your path, and that's okay. This, again, only works for Muslims who recognize the pattern, are ready to change it and fix it with the Sunnah and science. So if you want to understand, okay, how can I get started with this, Iman? How can I start work with you and improve my life by just using the Sunnah 5 minutes a day? I put everything you need to know into a simple setup document. A very simple, it takes 2 minutes to read it through, gives you everything you need to know. Read it carefully, and it will show you the next steps and how to get started working on this, creating a program for you that can change your life within a month or 2. So once you're ready, head down to the description below. You have the link there, and just read it through. You will see the next steps at the bottom of the document, and I hear from you very soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.